Welcome to our explainer, where we're going to pull back the curtain on the magic that powers pretty much your entire digital life, recommender systems. We're going to break down exactly how they seem to know what you want, sometimes even before you do.
So, let's kick things off with a problem that you and I face every single day. There are millions of movies, endless songs, countless products. In a world of just infinite choice, how does any platform even begin to figure out what to suggest to you?
Well, the most basic solution, the simplest answer, is to just show everybody what's popular. The logic is pretty straightforward. If a whole bunch of people like something, there's a decent chance you'll probably like it too.
And you've seen this a million times, right? This is your classic top 10 list, your bestsellers page. And look, it's a great starting point. It's a safe bet, but it's got one really big flaw.
Exactly. This whole one-size-fits-all approach is kind of the opposite of personalization, isn't it? To get those really smart recommendations, the ones that feel like they're made just for you, we need a much more sophisticated method.
And that brings us to this really clever solution called collaborative filtering. Instead of just looking at what's popular overall, it taps into the behavior of the entire community, the wisdom of the crowd, to make these super personalized predictions about what you're gonna love.
Now, this whole technique basically splits into two main flavors. One way is to find other users who are a lot like you. The other way is to find items that are similar to each other. So let's break down both of them.
Okay, first up, let's dig into user-based filtering. How on earth does a system find your digital twin?
It's actually a pretty neat three-step process. First, the system creates a kind of taste profile for every user. Then, it goes on a hunt to find your taste twins, other people with really similar profiles. And finally, it recommends stuff that they love but that you haven't seen yet. Simple as that.
Now, for anyone out there who's familiar with relational databases, this is going to click right away. Just picture a giant table, a user item matrix. Each row is a different user, and each column is a different item. A 1 means they like it, a 0 means they don't. So each user's row becomes its own unique vector that basically represents their entire taste profile.
Okay, so that makes sense conceptually, right? But how does a computer actually, mathematically, calculate that two people are similar?
The secret sauce here is a metric called cosine similarity. And the idea is really fascinating. Instead of just measuring the distance between two user profiles, it actually measures the angle between their interest vectors.
Now, you really don't need to get lost in the formula here. Just think of it like this. If two users' taste vectors are pointing in roughly the same direction, that means the angle between them is tiny, and their tastes are super similar. But if their vectors are perpendicular, a 90-degree angle, their tastes are completely different.
So that's user-based filtering. But that's only one way to solve the problem. What if we flip the whole thing around? Instead of finding similar people, what if we focused on finding similar items? This is item-based filtering, and it really does flip the problem on its head. Instead of comparing you to other users, it compares items directly to other items. The system finds things that are often liked by the same groups of people, and then it recommends stuff that's similar to what you've already enjoyed.
This totally changes how we look at the data. It's like taking that big user item matrix we talked about before and just transposing it, flipping it. So now, the rows are the items and the columns are the users. Each row becomes a vector that represents an item's audience.
And yep, you guessed it. We use the exact same tool as before, cosine similarity. We're still just measuring the angle between vectors, but this time we're measuring the similarity between items, not users. So if two items are consistently liked by the same people, their vectors are going to point in a very similar direction.
So there you have it, two really distinct paths to get to the same goal of personalization. Let's just put them side by side to really lock in the difference.
So on one side, you've got user-based filtering. It's all about finding your taste buddies. Its logic is basically, people like you also liked. On the other side, you've got item-based filtering, which is about finding an item's companions. Its logic is, if you like this, you'll probably also like. And in our matrix world, one compares the rows, while the other compares the columns.
See? Both of these paths lead to incredibly powerful personalization. They take that overwhelming sea of infinite choice and turn it into a curated list made just for you. This is the elegant logic that's constantly running behind the scenes, shaping your digital world and trying to answer one single question.
If this helped you understand the magic behind all your recommendations, do us a favor and hit that like button, share it with someone else who's curious, and be sure to subscribe for more explainers just like this one.